Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. Here's the title screen, I guess. This is Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. This is going to be any % no level skips, so we're going to have to reach the end of every level through whatever method possible, whether it be auto-scroller or actually moving fast. I'm going to get started, just to kind of get things moving along. So, I guess we're going to be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so, there's a little bit of cutscene here. There's a 2.5 minute of unskippable cutscene right at the start of this run. So, I guess I'll just talk about the game. This is a Wii U game released in 2015. It was released as a spiritual successor to the 2005 Kirby game, Kirby Canvas Curse for the Nintendo DS, which, if you don't know what that is, it was a touchscreen-based Kirby game where instead of controlling Kirby like a traditional Kirby platformer, what you would do is you would draw lines using the stylus on the touchscreen, which you could then make Kirby roll on the lines and lead Kirby through the levels. So this is going to be the same gameplay style as that. I'm going to be using the Wii U gamepad's touchscreen to basically draw lines that guide Kirby to the end of each level. It's a pretty basic run. The only problem is there's a lot of auto-scrollers. So there is going to be a lot of downtime. If you ever need to read a donation or plug something, I will tell you when it is time to do that. But I guess I should talk about the category next. So, this category is any % no level skips, which may seem weird based on some things I'm going to be doing a little bit into the run. So I'm going to clarify what counts as a level skip. In this game, there's a mechanic where if you die 4 times in a single stage, the game will give you a prompt asking if you would like to skip that stage and just move on to the next one. Maybe come back to that stage later when you're feeling a bit better or just more practiced with the game. However, in a speedrun, you can use that to just skip a stage and not have to do it at all and just get to the end boss faster. This category bans that, so it doesn't ban glitches or skips, even though there are really no glitches in this game. It doesn't ban like actual skips by any means, but it more bans death abusing to skip stages. So basically every death you're going to see in this run is going to be unintentional, which is a bit different from the normal run of this game. Or the any % run, which is not really a default category. This is the default category, because the death abuses are kind of silly. You just kind of die 4 times a level. That's not the greatest of categories. But yeah, we're going to get into gameplay. So, the main thing I'm going to be doing to move as fast as I can is tapping Kirby. When I tap Kirby, I do some sort of, or not this sort of dash, which can damage enemies, but also just the dash has a faster movement speed than normal rolling. So I'm going to dash a lot in order to just be moving at a good speed at all times. So after this little tutorial section, we're going to get into the main game now. So this is the first level. This is The Adventure Begins, I think is the name. I already forgot after reading the level select screen. The way this game is laid out is that each world is going to be having 3 levels, followed by a boss at the end of each level set. And there are 7 worlds, so 21 stages and 7 bosses throughout the run. This game, unlike Kirby Canvas Curse, where despite being a game like this, there were still copy abilities. This game does not have the classic Kirby copy abilities, but it does have star powers. So, stars are a usual thing in the Kirby series, kind of like Mario's coins, where if you collect 100, you'll get a 1-up. In this game, you don't get a 1-up for that, unlike you do in other games. However, you do get a star dash, and what you do with the star dash is you hold down your stylus on Kirby, and you wait for him to charge up and attack. And basically, that will do a more powerful dash that can destroy stronger blocks or just platforms, do a lot more damage to some stuff, and also just moves faster. So It's going to be good to Star Dash in a lot of places, but since it takes quite a bit of stars to get a Star Dash going, you're going to see throughout this run, I'm going to have to manage my star count a lot so that I can Star Dash at the right places. So after this first stage, we didn't collect any treasure chests or anything, but we're going to get the ability to use Amiibo. I personally don't have either of the Amiibo, so I can't use them in this run. In the world record, it uses Amiibo. What the Amiibo do is, the Kirby Amiibo allows you to, it just gives you an instant Star Dash. The King DDD Amiibo isn't really useful, it just upgrades your health by 1 for a stage. And then the Meta Knight Amiibo makes your dash faster for a whole stage, and you can only use these once per day. So actually what you do in the speedrun with Amiibo is, you'll see, before the run they set their time, so that the date, switches on the Wii U mid-run, and therefore they can now use the Amiibo twice within one run, without having to go to the settings in between. So you can use Kirby's instant Star Dash twice and Meta Knight's faster dash speed twice. Again, I don't have any Amiibo for this game, so I can't have those luxuries, but whatever. I mean, it's not necessarily pay to win until somebody optimizes the Amiibo run. Like, right now, if I had the digital version, which I don't, I should talk about that. The digital version saves, like, somewhere around 4 minutes on loads to the disc. If you have this game on a disc, which I do, unfortunately, it saves about 4 minutes on loads. And the current record right now, if I had digital, I could probably get the world record without Amiibo. But unfortunately, I don't have it on digital, so no record for me. Alright, I didn't make that cycle. You can make a really good cycle there where you make it in that small hole. I just tried and failed to make it in. There we go. So right now, soon we're going to be introduced to Invincibility Candy. And it's please get up there. Invincibility Candy is kind of a staple item in the Kirby series that makes you fast and obviously makes you invincible. I'm actually going to be avoiding enemies with the Invincibility Candy because, as you see, when I dash into something like a wall or a block or an enemy, I kind of have a little bit of delay where I get bonked a little bit. You don't have that when you have Invincibility Candy. However, you will still have the game pause for a little bit once you kill an enemy. So, I don't want to hit any enemies. Straight up, it's just faster that way. At the end of that level, I actually hit a secret diary, which is a collectible you can get by winning it at the end of each stage's bonus ending minigame. As you saw, I wasted a little time because I got a little text box for unlocking a secret diary. You only get that text box for this first secret diary you unlock, so I'm never going to have to worry about that again, even if I collect the secret diary on another level. Technically, you could just save that tiny bit of time with that one text box by never collecting a secret diary, but usually you end up accidentally collecting one. Or just not paying attention and go right into one because, you know, you don't really care. It's not the biggest time loss in the world, it's just a small thing. But I guess you could try and get it, and it would actually be worth doing. It's easy enough to warrant going for not having a journal, but sometimes, like, the end minigame is just kind of weird. Okay, there we go. A few other things about this game's mechanics are, so, when you're on the ground, your rainbow line, you see the top left of the screen. That's the charger, kinda. Or that's how much you have. You get a lot of rainbow line back a lot faster when you get rainbow line back a lot faster when you are on the ground compared to not on the ground. I forgot what the word is. Airborne. There we go. The word is airborne. When you're airborne, you get a lot, What am I trying to say? When you airborne, you don't regain rope as fast as you do on the ground. So whenever you're out of rope, you want to get to the ground, usually. The other thing is... I forgot. I honestly am just forgetting what I'm trying to say here. The way the water works, though, is that if you're under the water, you can't move. You need to draw a line. You can move if you have a Star Dash, but sometimes you don't. Right now we do, though, so... Alright, and here's a first major risk of something. I want to do that. What I'm trying to prevent here is called an off-screen. You can go off-screen in this game. Like, you can roll Kirby off-screen. And if you do that, you can't tap Kirby. And as I mentioned, you want to be dashing a lot in this game. So, when he's off-screen, you can't tap him. When you can't tap him, you can't dash. So, that's not good. And you can actually off-screen while star dashing, and it's really bad, because unless there's a ceiling above the screen, which, like, never happens, legitimately, we abuse the fact that it never happens, then, you might have to wait a while. I'm not going to touch here. I want to see if I get the Phantom line. Alright, cool. After that cutscene, there's a weird chance, depending on if you hit your gamepad, that some line can just come up out of nowhere, and it looks funny. Please get that star. That star is kind of important, unless you get, like, insanely lucky. Which I usually don't. Get in the door, Kirby! Jesus. I don't know what that was about, gosh. But this is Wispy Woods. This is the first boss. So I mentioned earlier, after 3 levels you have a boss, and that was 3 levels, so now we have a boss. This is Wispy Woods, and the way that Wispy Woods works is you dash into him a lot. And he uses these vines, which have stuff like cherries, which is a healing item, stars, which you know what stars do, and spikes, which damage you. After every cycle, he'll do this. Usually, what you'd think to do is to just, like, draw a line to below you, to keep you away from the wind, so you can keep dashing him more. But actually, we don't want to do that. If we get lucky enough to do it in 3 cycles here, so give me a pattern that has 4 stars on it, thank you. He can give you a pattern with 3 stars on it twice in a row, and then you can't star dash into him. When you star dash into him, you get to repeatedly tap him like that, and you do a lot of damage really quickly that way, and that's even enough to end the fight on that cycle. So 3 cycles is the best you can do. The first cycle, he always spawns a pattern with 2 stars on it, but then after that, he can do either a pattern with 3 or 4 stars. And to get the best luck on that fight, you need to get a pattern with 4 stars within the first 2 patterns. Or within the first 2 cycles. Which usually happens. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but there it happened, fortunately. So that was a good World 1, except for, like, the pre-Wispy stage. This is the biggest thing in the game. So I mentioned earlier that the category prevents death abuse level skips. It doesn't prevent, say, if we have a method to skip a level on our own without the game's, like, assist feature. So Dig and Dash, the game decides it's going to be funny to tease you before going into this, like, 5-minute cave level. It throws the exit right above you, but you're in a tunnel and you can't get above you. However, as I mentioned earlier, you can go off-screen with Kirby, and ceilings, like, only reach so far up-screen. So, by trying to get enough vertical height and just, like, speed here, what I can do is get over the ceiling that the game uses to mock you with the end of the level, and just go straight to the end of the level. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is I'm trying to get over this ceiling. And you can see I'm regenning rope really fast at some points. That's because I'm actually hitting the wall, but I don't have enough, like, speed to actually get over it. I'm just kind of doing that. There, the line disappeared. If you intersect the line with a new line, the line that you intersected will disappear, and the more recent line will stick. So I do need to be careful that I don't accidentally erase a line while doing any of this. I'm surprised that was not it. Okay. I was up there enough to get all my rope back because the game considered me on the ground, but I didn't have enough speed to actually get over. That's not gonna be good. Come on, game. This skip is kind of mean. So yeah, you saw the level, the screen start to fade there because the end of the level is right there. There we go. I'm over. No, this is not Celeste. This is Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. Celeste already happened. And no, this isn't a glitch. This is you actually just jumping over a ceiling. Also, that still saved time, even though it took forever. That still saved time because that's just a really long level to do the normal way. Alright, and then this is the first auto-scroller of the run. So, we're going to get into transformations here. If you've ever played Kirby's Dream Land 2, you'd probably know Rick, Kine, and Koo. They're also in Dreamland 3, but Dreamland 2 is where they made their debut. And the kind of theme about them is that they were animal friends that represented the land, the water, and the sky. And so here, this game has transformations that represent the earth, the earth, the water, and the sky. And the Earth transformation is going to be this tank. Unfortunately, whenever the game decides to throw a vehicle like this at you, it decides to throw an auto-scroller at you as well. So, yeah, this stage always just takes a little bit. The tank controls, it moves on its own. You can tap to speed it up, though. You basically tap on the screen where you want to fire a bullet. Or whatever this is. And it'll do that. So... that's why you see me tapping around. If I shoot enemies, I get stars. And I want to get stars for something at the end of the stage here. Well, I'm just going to try and get as many stars as I can because better safe than starry. Starry. Youch. Actually, I should mention, I drew a loop-de-loop there. If you go in the middle of a, not as tank obviously, but as normal Kirby, if you go in the middle of a loop-de-loop like that, you will actually get a little burst of speed. In Canvas Curse, which I mentioned earlier, is kind of like this game is kind of a spiritual successor to that game. In Canvas Curse, the fastest form of movement is actually to constantly draw loop-de-loops, but in this game it's not as beneficial as dashing is, so we just use the dashing more. Alright, so at the end of this auto-scroller, finally, we have a little fight where there's a lot of these guys. I'm going to hold down the thing, just like I would use a star dash, and I'm gonna get the star fire, where I have a ton of, I have a kind of a bullet spread going out in the shape of a star. Just help me get rid of those guys faster. And then once all of these guys are gone, I get the chance to run away. Alright. And that was the level. I don't know what Kirby did there, but I just off-screen. So this is what off-screening with a star dash is like. It's the most painful thing in the world. Alright, so now that that's over, we have another pretty cool stage here, the Long Lost Ruins. Aw, dang, didn't get the cool thing. There's something you can do there with those blocks where you can move fast enough so that the camera doesn't scroll there until you get on the other side of those blocks, and then it actually just makes you go right through the blocks because the camera hasn't loaded them, but you're already past there. But I didn't get it there. I was kind of inside the block when it happened. So here I'm going to try and delay my second dash just enough so that instead of getting crushed there, what I did was I kind of canceled getting crushed by hitting an enemy. And so it plays the... Okay, there's a phantom line, by the way, that I mentioned earlier. Sometimes that happens after cutscenes. Has someone not switched the game to Kirby and the Rainbow Curse? Alright, and then there's a little mini-boss here with this tank guy. He takes this knockback, so you want to be careful not to let him go too far backwards so you can still get behind him and deal that damage quickly. Can you please... Thank you. And here we have another section with these things that try to crush you. I wanted to get that big star, but since I'm a big idiot, instead, we're not going to get it. Alright. Now we have the second boss. This is Hoop Lagoon. So, again, we just have a little pre-boss stage here. There we go. So, now we actually have Hoop Lagoon in this room. He's going to come out of the middle of the screen here. There he is. And what we want to do here is the metal shield needs to be star dashed into. However, we don't have any stars right now, so we can't do that. What I'm going to try and do is like that. I'm going to try and hit one shield. Every time you hit him, he kind of grows a little bit, as you see. And his shields have a little bit more HP. If I had done that right, I would have hit one shield once, then hit one shield twice for the second phase. That would have damaged him a second time. And then I would have been able to hit this third shield twice because I had already hit it the first time. And I would have been able to skip that electric barrier attack right there that he did. Because I can't hit him while he's doing that. Alright, now we have the Star Dash for the final hit of the fight, which is going to be on the metal shield. I still can't hit him while the electric is out. The electricity is out. I'm going to try and get on the other side of him. There we go. Just like that. I could have done that a little better. I could have gotten the shield skip on the third hit, but whatever. Other than that, it was a pretty nice fight. Whenever you get hit with a Star Dash, which you usually have to do just about any enemy, but if you get hit by like a spike or electricity or something, it'll still damage you. Because you're not invincible during a Star Dash. And if that damages you, the Star Dash just instantaneously dies. So you do want to be really careful when you are trying to Star Dash into that metal shield. So now we have the water levels, which, this game's swimming mechanic, as you can imagine, is not so great. The way it works is that you constantly float up, and the only way to move down is to just draw a line dragging you down. It's awful, because you're very floaty whenever you spin. However, if you don't spin, then you have to use even more line moving forward. And it's slow to use line to move side to side, so basically you kind of have to use it to move down, but you also have to use it to steer yourself. Because moving... Okay, let's actually just get this ink pot to get our rope back. Using dashes is fastest, so you kind of need to do a sloped line back and forth, side to side, that moves upwards if you want to go upwards as fast as possible. And the same thing downwards for downwards, except you have to draw longer lines to let it drag you downwards. Again, really dumb, just stupid swimming mechanics. But they're manageable, I guess. That's what happens when the camera sucks. Also, I should mention, you've been seeing treasure chests throughout the run. Every level has 5 treasure chests, not including boss. And that's kind of... We have a category between this category and 100%. That's any percent all treasure. Every time I collect a treasure chest, I have to do a little thing after the level where I kind of go to a different screen showing my treasure chests, and I have to open them and see what's inside. That's slow. That's a very slow thing to have to do that little mini-game. So I really don't want to collect any chests at all throughout the whole run, so I don't have to sit through that. Alright. So that was 3-1. 3-2 coming up. Is a really interesting level. It's got a cool gimmick in it. And it's fairly short, however. It's the shortest World 3 level, which is unfortunate because it's probably one of the coolest in concept. This is the haunted ship. We're gonna go on to the ship. And as we land here, you see these ghosts around the ship, and you're going to see it here in this cutscene I'm going to skip. These ghosts will start attacking me. These ghosts kind of follow you to your current position, like they track your position and try and follow you. They can't see you in water, though. The main thing about them, though, is that they're instant kill. So if I touch them a single time, no matter what my health is, I die. And I don't think there's any normal enemies in this stage, so I think the only way to even take damage is these guys, which are insta-kill, as I just mentioned. I kind of did a risky thing there, because I thought I had the opportunity, though, to. If I do the movement right, I can move through that in a way to not have to wait in the water to get to the key door there, and I got it right, so go me. Alright, here I'm going to grab this invincibility candy. And then I'm going to go all the way over here. I'm not going to grab that invincibility candy. I'm going to save that one for later. And you'll see why. Right now, I'm just kind of trying to get the way out of the ship. So that's getting this key. But when I unlock this door, the second door, I actually have to kill this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to camp around here for him to start chasing me. And then once he's not in the wall and at a point where I can actually hit him, which is right there, I'm going to get in the water, get the invincibility candy. When I get the invincibility candy, I'm so bright that he actually, like, can't move. He's stunned. So I can stun him right there, kill him right there at the door, and then immediately get out the door into the cannon. And when I do that, I'll be blasted to the end of the level. So I just gotta... There we go. That went pretty well. And here we have our next auto-scroller. To represent Kine from Kirby Dream Land 2, we have our element of the water. This is going to be our introduction to the submarine. Similar to the tank, there are only going to be 2 submarine levels in the whole run. The same is true for all transformations, unless you want to make an exception for a boss where you use the rocket ship, which is the air transformation and the final of the 3 you're going to see in the run. But if you want it, unless you want to include that as an exception, there's just 2 of each transformation level. And then there's going to be 3 auto-scrollers that just feature normal Kirby. So out of the 21 total levels, there's going to be 7 auto-scrollers, which is kind of a bummer, but you got to put up with it. And I think besides the auto-scrollers, this is still a cool enough speed game to warrant playing if you want to sit through those. So the way the submarine works is it fires these torpedoes in kind of this pattern of 3 at a certain time interval. And it always fires to the right. You can't turn Kirby around. However, you can use your line to kind of guide the torpedoes like you can normal Kirby in normal gameplay. Also, whenever you tap on the screen, a flag appears and Kirby goes to that flag. Alright, and then we have our star attack now. So, similar to the tank, we don't have a type of dash with this the submarine, but instead what we have is we have a giant torpedo. That's not really going to be useful in the normal stage, only for the mini-boss at the end of the stage is going to be useful. In a way, this is just like a longer version of the tank level that we saw earlier, except underwater. Which makes it so much more fun. This is also, like, the longest level in the game, not including the final boss. It might even be longer than the final boss, for all I know. But, yeah. I don't remember the time of the final boss. What's fun to do in auto-scrollers is draw random stuff. So you can do all sorts of things. You can do things like, I don't know, memes. Or NGA. If you intercept lines, they erase, so I'm having trouble here. NGA. 2. These funky shark boys take 2 hits. Did I even let my dog in? Hold up, give me a second. Is my dog inside or outside of the house? I'll be right back. Actually, wait, I think we're about to hit a loading zone. And then I'll be right back. Okay, here, I can do it. I think. I'm not 100% sure when I can do that, but I think I left my dog outside. I'm a great pet owner. Okay, I can do it right now. Am I good? How much time did I lose doing that? I actually don't know. I thought I had more time than I did. Okay, it wasn't that bad. I was at the right of... I should have moved myself to the right of the screen before I left. Oh, that would have probably negated like a few seconds that I lost for that. I'm a terrible pet owner. I have terrible memory. I always forget stuff, like everything. I forget to feed myself. I can't remember to feed a dog. I am hungry. Okay, this is the downwards area I was thinking of before I went to go feed my dog. Alright, we're at the end of this auto-scroller. We have like a mini-boss fight here. This thing grows legs and attacks us. We're going to use our star attack, which is a really big torpedo, to hit it a lot. And it can move around like this, and we don't want it to do that. Because, as you can see, it can just kind of troll us, because we can be guiding a torpedo at it, and then it can suddenly just move when the torpedo is out of our control. So that was bad. But at the end of that fight, you get out of submarine mode and into normal mode. Right at the end of the stage. Alright, that was awful. I hated that. Never again do I want to do that stage. So coming up, we have the third boss of the run. We're gonna have the Klaken, which is a nice pun, because as you could probably tell, everything in this game is modeled after clay. In fact, some of the cutscenes in this game, like the intro and stuff, are straight up just claymation, and that's kind of the whole aesthetic of Rainbow Curse, is clay stuff. Okay, I guess I'm not getting the 1 health. Whatever, this is not a bad fight. Coming up, here he is. The boy himself. There's the hat. He's a pipe. So, here we have tentacle cycles. There are 2 phases to this fight. The first one is the tentacle phase, where he sends tentacles out of the whatever, ground or wall, depending on what he feels like, to attack you with. Again, whatever he feels like attacking you with, he will. And he ends this phase by doing 2 tentacles at the same time. These ones, instead of taking 2 like the first 2 did, I will need to hit one of these tentacles 5 times to knock it out. So if I do this quick enough, which I already know I messed up at this point, because the game's not doing what I'm inputting, I can get that in 1 cycle, and where I get 5 hits before the tentacles retreat. And that's the fastest way to do it, but unfortunately I messed up because this game just doesn't want to work with me right now. So that's not happening. And then after that we get into phase 2, where he will kind of fire himself across the screen like this. Okay, and no, seriously, somebody needs to change the game right now, because everyone's coming in upset that this is not a Celeste run, because Celeste already happened. Yeah, but after every 2 times firing, he'll expose his weak point, which you can either just dash into a couple times or star dash into. Star dashing into it is faster, so I'm going to be doing that every time, if I can. Sometimes the star route just doesn't work out that way, and you can only get 1 star dash in. Fortunately, the star route worked out this time, and I was able to do that in that cycle. Or in 2 star dashes, which is really rare on the water fight, actually, but later we're gonna have a refight against him, and it's gonna be easier to do that faster. The refight of this guy is actually easier, but we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, we have Auto-Scroller World, These first two levels, Rainbow Across the Skies and the next level, are going to be auto-scrollers featuring Kirby. And then we're going to have a rocket ship level, which is going to be our final transformation. And the rocket ship might as well be an auto-scroller, honestly, for most of it. So, the gimmick of this level is there are bounty clouds. That's literally it. Have fun. At least it is for the first part. Okay, my gamepad is, I think I'm starting to have gamepad problems, because I was drawing a line under Kirby. I drew like 3 lines and none of them showed up. So, yeah, if you die in the section, you have to go back to the beginning of the screen, which is awful when you're in an auto-scroller, because then you have to wait for the auto-scroller again. So that was literally the game's fault. I'm not to blame for that death. Okay, honestly, someone really just needs to change the game, like, right now. Because I'm getting sick of the Celeste jokes at this point. Yeah, the trick is to not die, but the game's kind of working against me right now, so it's not working too well. But yes, the trick to this stage is not die in it. Yeah, I know the current game and the title say Celeste, but that's because whoever needs to change the game isn't changing it right now. Which they should have done, like, before this run even started. So I don't know where they are, but they need to get on that. I don't ever need a star dash in this stage. I'm just kind of collecting these stars for fun. And stars don't carry over into the next stage. Whenever you enter a new stage, you reset your star count to 0. So I'm just kind of doing this for fun, collecting all these stars. Alright, now we're onto this screen, where it becomes a lot harder to die. Alright, so, at this point in the stage, when this cannon appears, I want to get into it as fast as possible and get to this bonus section, because actually if I go through this bonus section, it'll lead me to the last screen of the auto-scroller, and getting to the last screen of the auto-scroller is faster than waiting for the screen to scroll all the way up to the normal door that takes me to this part. I wanted to pop that last balloon. Alright. That was awful. But we're through that. Now we're on to another auto-scroller. This stage is really good music, though. I'll give it that. It has better music than the last stage. It's good that we have a Star Dash now, because there is actually going to be a strat that involves a Star Dash relevant soon. I'm gonna get more Star Dashes though, because why not? And please go down. The auto-scroll actually stops for a little bit at those bomb blocks, so I need to make sure I hit them as soon as possible, because I need to hit them for the auto-scroll to resume, and when the auto-scroll's not moving, the stage isn't moving, and that's slow. And then I have to climb up this tower as fast as possible. Here we go. So this part of the stage is kind of interesting. There's this really big cannon on this battleship behind us that starts firing these things really quickly in succession by trying to home onto me. And then I'll fire them all at my location. You're supposed to use this coming up on the stage to help you bust open a cannon to continue on with the stage. However, that's the reason I wanted a Star Dash in the first place. Because as soon as this comes on screen, I'm going to charge up the Star Dash and then go into the cannon myself without having to wait for the battleship to blast it open for me. That's why it's just good to have a Star Dash there. And then that's the end of the stage. So we don't have necessarily an auto-scroller coming up, but we have a bit of an interesting stage. What's going to happen is... we're going to have our third transformation. So we've seen the tank and the submarine, but now we're going to see the rocket. And the way that rocket works is actually it's not necessarily an auto-scroller like the other two are. It is going to be moving at a constant speed. Its star ability is a dash, just like normal Kirby though, so we will be able to speed up using that. And also it moves in lines, it kind of turns like that. And obviously if it's moving straight, it's going to be faster than if it's moving at an angle because more of its kind of velocity is going to be more focused on moving forward. So we're going to try doing that as much as possible. Keeping turns as small and like that. Still want a lot of stars though for certain points in the stage. Specifically right here. We want a Star Dash before a certain point in the stage, which is this. If you don't have a Star Dash by this metal area, by those metal blocks, if you don't have one yet, the game will make you wait until something comes down from the screen that automatically gives you a Star Dash. And that's slow to wait for, so you usually try to build up a Star Dash before that part of the level, so you can make it through. And then coming up we have an escape sequence where there's a self-destruct switch. We're going to hit that. And then the game is going to zoom out here. So it's going to say, oh no, that's a self-destruct switch. We have to escape. And so you can use the touchscreen to try and draw an escape path that leads you through all three of these places, all three of these switches, and then to the exit. However, I already know where they are, so instead of wasting my time drawing a path, I'm just gonna, you know, go through each section. I'm going to wait until after that cannon to start my Star Dash, otherwise I could accidentally get hit by the cannon and cancel the Star Dash immediately, which is no good. No, go this way, please. There we go. So that's the end of this rocket stage. We're going to be blasted off here as normal Kirby. And that's it. Alright. And then coming up we have our fourth boss fight. So there are 7 boss fights in this game, but after the first 3 worlds, they kind of just start recycling the boss fight in the next 3 with a barely changed mechanic. So coming up is our refight with Wispy Woods. Yeah, but Alright, and then, so the gimmick of this fight compared to the first fight is that he has this shield now, which we can't hit with normal dashes like we could in the first fight. So now we have to use Star Dashes to hit him. Fortunately, his patterns here of vines include a lot more stars than the original fight did, so we will have the chance to Star Dash him a lot more. And that was a really good first cycle. You can 2-cycle this boss is the best you can do. And that was a 2-cycle. And here we have another world that's a lot of auto-scrollers. Starting off with 5-1 is Woodland Battle, which is our second and final tank stage of the run. So after this level, we'll never have to see the tank again, which is pretty nice. I'm okay with that. And then there's a few things that happen here at this stage that we have to be careful with, one of them being the logs. We can push those so they don't murder us. And that's generally what you want to do, is not get murdered. Alright. So, this next part of the stage, there is a little bit before the auto-scroll actually kicks in. It's weird. I don't get it. And we get introduced to these bomb enemies, which, like, kind of suck. Because their blast radius is, like, a lot bigger than the animation of it is. So you can take a lot of damage without even noticing in this section and die. Hopefully that won't happen, because it's an auto-scroller, so it's probably the worst stage to die in the whole game. But it could, if I'm not careful enough. Gonna just get some health back before heading on to the final part of the stage. Alright, there we go. So that's the last tank level in the run. This is one of the hardest stages in the run coming up. Basically, the gimmick of it is there are these platforms that you hop in, and then Kirby has to be guided on these ropes. Obviously, your own ropes work, but you have to be careful not to fall. You need to be in this cart, though, to go through one of these little... Alright, I need to use this cart for this. That's not how that works. You need to go through these little things to go to the background. You need to be in a cart. However, your speed in a cart is much slower than not in a cart, so I want to try and be out of a cart as much as possible, which gives this level kind of its difficulty when we get to a part upcoming that I'll explain when I get there. That cannon shot hitting the right place, you have to like hit right when it's at the way left. It's kind of precise, and I usually miss it like I did there, but that's still an alright cannon shot. If you're all the way on the left, you cannot hit the ceiling there. This is where the stage is really hard. So to go faster, we're going to try and get out of the cart like that. First try, awesome. Where, yeah, what I did was I used a little bit of a bump there I used a little bit of a bump there to knock... I used the wall, first off, to knock Kirby out of the cart. But I used a little bit of a bump where there was a floor, and I'm going to try it again here. I got both of them first try. That's ridiculously hard to do, but I used the little bump as the floor so that Kirby hits the floor instead of falling into the pit. And when you hit the floor, it breaks the cart, which allows you to control Kirby normally again, which is really good. So that's the hardest part of the stage, and one of the most annoying parts in the whole run, because you have to be pretty precise with your positioning of the rope. Otherwise, you can either just have the cart hit too low, and it just hits the wall below where you want it to hit, and you plummet, or you'll go too high and you'll fly over the little floor portion and just die to that. What's also great is I also did my start route correctly. So that we can star dash through this last portion of the level right into the cart. And that was one of the hardest levels in the run, done perfectly, basically. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, treasure chests are slow to collect. I like collecting that one because you can't really do anything to speed up that section, so why not get it? But it is slow, so... I don't know all treasure chests. I don't know how to run that, so I'm not going to be leaving. I'm going to be leaving the treasure behind. I'm sorry. Coming up, we have another auto-scroller, though. This is going to be our last level with the submarine in the run. So we get to say goodbye to this by also using one of my favorite songs in the whole game. Which is going to start playing, like, once we get into the store. Sour please, I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to get a lot of stars to use. I think I need only two star missiles at any point in the throughout this whole level. So I already have those now. So now I can just kind of relax because with the exception of a very small part, as long as I just kind of sit here, I won't really die. In fact, when it comes to some of those enemies that throw the bombs, you can literally just sit there and go right past them. Can go up in that waterfall. That's the gimmick of this stage, by the way. I didn't mention it. Are these waterfalls you can swim in? I like jumping out of them. It's fun. Whee! Alright, so now the game's about to show us some enemies. So I'm going to get ready with a star torpedo. There we go. That should sweep it all. Perfect. And then once I kill all 4 of these guys, this will open up. And I can go down. Once the screen scrolls down, that is. I have to wait for that. There we go. Having a little bit of problem with that that bomb block, but I got it now. So here we have an enemy rush with all these fish. And when this giant wave comes up is when I'm going to initiate a star torpedo. Get all of them. And then I can move on. So despite the kind of enemy wave being over, implying that the level should be over now, there's still a little bit more before we get out. I didn't even mean to hit that like that. Here I do a little damage boost just so I don't have to actually play the game. And I can be on the right side as soon as the waterfall appears. Because the door is in the waterfall. And I want to get through the door. Just a little optimization. There's a max tomato that spawns right before that door, so you can get full health right before this screen. Which makes that damage boost basically... It's always worth doing. Obviously, if you're at 1 HP, don't go for it, but like... Again, there's a full heal item right before it, so... You hopefully... it can happen, but you hopefully will not be at 1 HP. And here we have Hoop Lagoon of the Lake coming up, so... We already had our Wispy Woods refight. Now we're going to have our Hoop Lagoon refight coming up. Featuring underwater physics. I mentioned that the World 4, 5, and 6 bosses are the World 1, 2, and 3 bosses with a minor difference to them that actually change. Like, it seems like a minor difference, but it actually changes the fight up entirely. This fight is literally the same exact thing, except we're underwater. Which wouldn't be that different because it is, as I just said, basically the same fight. However, the underwater physics in this game are just so unique, to put it kindly, that it does really change up this fight a whole lot. There's the quick shield break that I mentioned I could do last fight, but I missed, unfortunately. And then we have the electric shield up. I have the Star Dash ready to go. That was a perfect fight. That actually, I don't know how much, I don't think that could have really gone any better. So coming up, we have World 6, which is actually one of the most interesting worlds in the run. It has no auto-scrollers in it. It has a rocket stage. It has a really intense stage and some cool just kind of tricks and skips in it to honestly make it really interesting after the kind of auto-scroller full stages that we had in the last two worlds. Also got some banging tunes like this one right here. So here what I do is I go into this goo in the ceiling to get my lines back a lot quicker. So I can just get through here like that and move on to the stage. You have a little falling block section where we have to get to the end here, which is this cannon, and the blocks are falling, so we need to move out of their way. Because, obviously, they'd crush us otherwise. And there's also lava at the bottom of the screen, so we don't want to fall in that. And here we have another one of these cart sections, like we saw in 5-2. Here, the way places the cart What? 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 Huh? What happened there? I just kind of fell right off the rope for no reason. Okay, well, that sucks. Get in the cart. Get in the cart. Thank you. That was really confusing, but, there we go. The places that the cart respawns and the fact that you need to use the cart at the end of this part of this screen doesn't really make it worth it to hop out of the cart here. But coming up for the last part of the stage, we're going to want to get out of the cart. This part is slightly faster without the cart. Like a few seconds. I do need to really be careful, though, through this part, because if I run out of rainbow line, that's very bad. I'm good. So at the beginning of the stage we have a cannon, but we have to wait for the cannon to get on screen, because until then the cannon won't be loaded. Alright, but now this is our second rocket ship stage. So we've already done our we already have our 2 stages of all the transformations. I didn't get the stars that I wanted from these guys, these flying guys, but it's okay. I forget the name of those enemies. Alright, so that was the first part of the stage. I don't have enough stars compared to what I want. Just kidding, it's fine. It's fine. I might need to compromise a bit later in the stage, but for now I'm doing okay. I actually don't need health at all. I did this part damageless, so I don't even need... I might not even need any extra... Never mind. Okay, cool. Eat my words, I guess. I'm going to use a star here to try and get some health back, because you want to go into this next section with full health. So after a little wave of enemies here, these saw blades come. And after a little bit of these saw blades, the screen will finally scroll up and reveal that, hey, there's a switch here we can hit to move on to the next part of the stage. Which is right through this cannon. Alright, so. Next part of the stage, we have these switches again. Kind of like in the last rocket battleship level. Alright, so my stars count right now is awful because of the beginning of the stage, so I'm going to need to do some stuff to get some extra stars, whatever it might be. I'm going to take this to go through here. Let's do that star dash for my first and switch, then hit this cannon for my second switch, then not have my line work. I'm going to get this as well. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to get these 2 switches. I'm going to be led over here. And then after these rings, which I'm supposed to go through, but this game... excuse me, game. I'm holding down on Kirby, actually. There we go. That was awful, because everything was messed up there. But now we have an escape. So, I'm gonna use a star dash here because I have extra stars because I messed up my star route earlier in the stage. There we go. Very fast. Kinda can recover from the mistake earlier. Alright, and there goes the battleship again. Cool. Coming up, we have a stage with a kind of important skip in it. It saves not as much as Dig and Dash did, where that can literally save like 4 minutes if done really quickly. This stage has a really cool looking skip that saves about 20 seconds, about halfway through. So we'll hope I get that. Alright, and now in this part here, we kind of have to chase this rising lava. And so it's kind of supposed to be a stressful moment, especially with the music, where the game's like, hey, run, run, the lava's gonna get you. So one thing it does to kind of try and fake you out here is fake out the exit. So as soon as we hit this switch, as you can see, the door starts moving up. However, I messed it up there because I accidentally bonked an extra time because I messed up on my line. But if you do your movement and line drawing just right there, you can actually make it into that door. So the door starts moving up once you hit the first block. But if you draw your line and then do your movement right to perfectly, without bonking, hit straight into that second block and then move to the door, you can get in the door while it's still moving. And that saves 20 seconds because you don't have to do the last part of the stage. I don't know how much longer this run is. I don't have splits up, so I can't see because I don't like having splits up during marathon runs, and I'm going to run out of health soon, especially when the game does stuff like that, which is not what I'm trying to input at all. There we go. I just need to hit this thing, and then I can get the max tomato here, and at this point death should just not happen. If you think 20 minutes, you're crazy. All right. So now we're moving on to the sixth fight, which is the sixth boss fight, which is going to be the refight with the Kraken. However, the catch here is that instead of being underwater, it's going to be in a volcano, which has lava instead of water. And lava is a very different beast. The floor of the fight is going to be lava. As you're going to see here, there's lava right below that floor. So the boss will kind of abuse this platform and make holes in it. So we're going to have our tentacle phase here. The tentacle phase has the same kind of going as the old one did, except now before you can damage the tentacle, it'll poke holes in the floor a little bit. It's going to poke 2 holes and then become attackable. If it comes out of the lava, you won't be able to hit it. But once it comes out of the wall, it'll take 3 hits instead of 2 on the single tentacle cycles. But then on the double tentacle cycle, it'll still take 5 instead of like 6 or 7. So if I do it right, I can still get a 3 cycle tentacle phase, which I didn't get in the last fight, so I'm gonna hope I get it in this fight. I also want to get stars for the same reason I wanted them last fight, which is going to be for the second phase. Here, since he's spawning... Okay, first off, please, game. Since he's spawning 2 in the ground initially, he won't do 2 ground tentacles, or he won't do 2 tentacles in the floor before going to the ceiling or the wall, and there is a... That's what a 3-cycle tentacle looks like. It's actually kind of easier without the water, just because of how bad the water physics are in this game. And then here on this, instead of doing 2 charges before revealing his weak spot, he's going to do 3. And also, if he goes into the lava at any point, he'll reset the amount of dashes he does. So we want to be aiming him at the wall. There we go. Just like that. And here's my second star dash, so I'm ready for the next hit of the phase. Please hit the weak spot. Alright, I was gonna say that was a perfect fire Kraken, but that was just a really dumb ending because the game wanted me to have a really dumb ending, I guess. Alright, and now we're heading on to the final world of the game, which is Purple Factory. Fortress, my bad. The first level is called Infiltrate the Junk Factory, so I had Factory on the brain. Either way, this is going to be the last world, so not too much to go. Just 3 more levels and then the final boss. This first level here is going to have this mechanic with these scanners where if you go into them, a door will open. And we're immediately going to use this mechanic for a few keys that are in the level. So here's one. And then the second one's down here. There are 3 doors to go to the next part of the level. So I go in this order to get the keys because it's just fastest. There's one in the top left and one in the bottom left and one in the bottom right. And I collect it in that order to do the least amount of movement to get to the door after getting all 3 keys. Once you get to this part of the stage, there are these guys which start spawning. These guys are important because as you're going to see here, they will be able to activate the scanners. So I'm going to have to wait for that guy that's up there to move all the way to the scanner right there, this one, before I can move on to the next part of the stage. And then I have to wait for the scanner until it exposes a big enough gap in this platform for me to roll through. I'm going to get this health because, okay, good physics. And just roll through here, and there we go. Next part of the stage. I have to wait for the scanner to move all the way down here before we can move on. And that guy was kind of scaring me, so I wanted to stall a little bit until we stopped having an electric charge because I'm at 1 HP right now. And then this door. Alright, there we go. I have a Star Dash right now. Interesting. I'll just use it right here. And die. Cool. That's usually pretty easy to slip through those guys, but I'm just bad. Oh well. Let's just do the upward dash strat then. Alright, cool. That was perfect. And this is the end of the stage. Once I'm having Kirby game. Come on, give it to me. Give me dashes, please. That was really dumb. It took like 20 seconds to dash there. I don't know why. Alright, now we have the last auto-scroller of the run coming up. And it's actually a pretty cool level concept. And it would be really cool as like some sort of puzzle level, but of course the game had to make it an auto-scroller, so it's a bit less interesting. It's still pretty cool though, I guess. So the gimmick of the level is that this tube right here actually makes us 2. It actually splits us into 2. Both Kirbys have to hit the door, so I have to make sure both Kirbys get through the stage. Both Kirbys share a health bar. If one Kirby dies, I have to restart. So I don't have like double life or something. It's just more annoying because I have to manage 2 Kirbys, which are constantly being just pounded with dumb stuff that I have to take care of. Like puzzles. This is kind of a puzzle-based stage where I have to do a thing with one Kirby to let the other Kirby progress. Now we have an elevator. Oh yeah, elevators. My favorite. Alright, here we actually need to do things. If we don't want the left Kirby to get crushed, we have to hit this switch with the right Kirby. And now we can finally have the Kirbys joined together. If you dash into one Kirby, it'll go flying like a pinball. It's pretty fun to do that a lot of the time, so I'm going to do that a lot of the time. It can also destroy blocks, so... you know, I can get those out of my way so they don't destroy me later. Also, you can have dash combos like that, where you just kind of have them dash into each other somehow. I don't really know how it works. And then it looks funny because they're both dashing. This game is cool. That was funny. I don't know how to draw Frank Z. Alright, there we go. Now we have a little kind of mini-boss thing. We need to get rid of these 3 cannons. I'm just going to Star Dash. Excuse me, game. That was rude. This is really rude. Okay, I'm just going to use another Star Dash. That was dumb and stupid and mean game. Okay, but that's the end of the stage. Now we're going to be heading into the last stage before the final boss. So we're almost there. Heading into 7-3, we're going to be having Wonder Space. So, Wonder Space is a level that has these weird guys that eat you. And if they eat you, there's this kind of weird-looking plant cannon thing you might see that it will kind of spit us out of that weird cannon plant thing whenever it eats us. So, we don't want that happening right now. It's going to come to a point where it's going to come a puzzle-type thing, and we're going to want to be shot out of them because they do act like cannons. But for now, it's just bad news. This level's star route is also pretty annoying. Because what you can do is you can attempt to get 2 star dashes throughout the stage. However, that can be hard if you're not going out of your way for stars. So I'm going to be going out of my way for stars. So for example, here's a situation where getting eaten by one of these things is good. It's going to use us as a cannon to get out of here. And then the blue one's up there, so we don't want to get eaten by the red guy. Alright. At this point, the fastest guy to get into is getting eaten by the green guy. And then the green guy will give you a max tomato. So that's just the best one to do. Here we need a cannon, but there's a spike shield guy in the way. We're going to wait for him to turn around and then get eaten by this guy. So we won't cannon directly into his spike shield, but there we go. And here we have another one of these carts. So, let's do that. We're going to want to be careful here because there's not only going to be a Gordo, but there's going to be a treasure chest right here. So, I want to switch routes and not collect the treasure chest. And now we have more cart stuff. Here we can't jump out of the cart like we can in most other cart levels. So, I'm not going to try to. That was scary. I can get a lot of stars in this cart section here, so I'm going to actually be trying to do that. I almost have enough stars that I want for the whole level. And there we go. Alright, cool. I got that star route. Cool. As I mentioned, this is going to be a tricky star route if you forget, like, any stars. So, cool. So the first use of Star Dash that I'm going to use is this one. When you Star Dash, these guys can't eat you and will not eat you. So you use a Star Dash there to kill that key quickly without fear of being eaten. And then the last one you do is right here, so that you don't have the fear of being eaten. You just Star Dash through this section here. Still want to be careful because your Star Dash might not last the entire section. So at the end you want to be careful. And then this happens. I don't even know what's happening there. It's just kind of cutting me off. This game's physics are really bad. Alright, and now we're going to be entering the final boss fight. So this level is going to be called the final battle. So here's an elevator. There we go, that's Frank or Z. Alright, let's go. So, this is the little thing that we're going to be introduced to before this fight, are these wrecking balls. You run into them, and then they kind of do a little this thing. I messed up there. What I want to do is have the ball hit the statue that's on the right side of the screen, which it should have there, but I messed up. So that's great. That's great and fantastic. Can you not do that? Actually, like for real. Thank you. That should have happened the first time, not the fourth. Ugh. Alright, and then here we're going to skip a cutscene and get into the fight with Glacia. So, I never explained the story of this game. During the beginning cutscene, the color was stolen from Dreamland, and someone was being chased, and that was the person who colored back in Kirby and the Waddle Dee so that they could save the color of Dreamland. But the reason why the person wanted Dreamland's color to be saved is because the person who stole it is actually the friend of the person who saved Kirby and Waddle Dee. And they're kind of possessed right now by an evil spirit, so they wanted us... They were like, hey, if you want the color of Dreamland back, you're going to have to kill the spirit, or get rid of the spirit possessing my friend, so let's work together. And that's why the controls are what they are in this game. That's why we can draw the lines, is because of that character. So what we have to do in this fight is We're trying to basically beat the spirit out of Glacia by knocking these, kind of... they're either like cannonballs or something like that. But you want to knock them into her so that you can stun her and start damaging her. And we're going to start getting stars during this phase. We're only going to get like 20 stars probably. We're also going to get health at some point. There it is. How long of a run is Duck Life? Oh, you're joking. Okay, so this is the kind of a turning point in the fight. Is we can hit Glacia during this attack before this fist fires. And then once this fist fires, we're going to start getting a lot of stars. And we want... did I get bad star luck? Are you kidding me? That's never happened before. I've never not had a star dash for this. What? The hell? That has never happened before. I've always had a star dash at this part. What? So usually you'd be able to star dash, Glacia as soon as she spawns here, and you'd be able to do the thing you were able to do against, like, Wispy and, yeah, Wispy, where you could just mash the button to end the fight and just deal a ton of damage super quickly. But for some reason, I didn't have enough stars, so I couldn't do that. I have not seen this phase of the fight in such a long time. And probably since I've played this game casually, which was like over 3 years ago when it came out. Alright, but now that she's here, and I have the Star Dash, this is what I was supposed to do last cycle. Alright, but now we're gonna have the evil spirit that was possessing Glacia gone from her body. And this is the spirit that actually took the color from Dreamland. So you're gonna see it right here. It has all the color. So, in this fight, we get the rocket ship, and what we have to do is we have to Star Dash into him 3 times to kill him. So a lot of stars appear throughout this fight, and we just have to collect them all. We do have to be careful, though, because as I've mentioned a lot, Star Dashing into... if you get damage while Star Dashing, it'll cancel the Star Dash, and there are a lot of bombs that get shot out during this phase, so I have to be real careful not to Star Dash into a bomb, otherwise I'll have to collect another set of stars, which is not a very good thing to do. So get ready on time. This third phase, it takes a while to get some stars, but time's gonna be real soon. And time. That was really bad. That was an awful run. Oh, okay. Yeah, 149.30. That's really bad. That's better than the run I did for a marathon on Sunday. But this was still a really bad run. I got sub 130 at least. I'm happy with that. Not really. Whatever. I have nothing else to say. Yeah, I'm ready to cut whenever. I'm just waiting for you to cut it, actually. Like, we don't have to watch the credits.